Deltarune. That's right, boys. As you know, some time ago, the trailer for Deltarune finally came out. Yippee! And it showed a lot of stuff, including a lot of old stuff, well, stuff you've seen, including a lot of new stuff, like what we're talking about today. As you know, we're talking about Tenna. Now, who is Tenna? Well, as you know, it's heavily speculated that Tenna is the main antagonist. And that was pretty much, well, I'm guessing that was pretty much confirmed in the trailer, where we've seen a certain part of the trailer where we see all the main antagonists at the end, like King, Queen, the smiling television, and some random fuckers. Anyways, but as you know, we don't care about the random fuckers, we care about Tenna. And as you know, we're assuming, let's be honest here, let's be real here, the smiling TV is just Tenna, and as you know, Tenna, realistically, unless it's like, listen, there's a 0.1% chance that Tenna's not the main antagonist. But let's be real, that's highly unlikely. Tenna, for the most part, yeah, pretty much, is gonna be the main antagonist of the chapter. So, case, well, who is Tenna? What's the deal? Why are they there? What do they want? And what's their purpose and goal? Well, let's first start with is the only character that's referenced Tenna. Well, not really directly referenced by name, but you know what I mean. You know him, you love him. Spamton G. Spamton, yay! And according to him, he says, "Don't believe anything you see on TV. That man's a criminal. I tell you, a criminal, criminal. Anyways, besides that, now as you know, he's a criminal." Now, as you know, we first thought he was referring towards, Mike as the criminal, the man on television, but nope. Turns out that was not true. Turns out Mike's a good guy. Well, according to Spanton, he's a good guy. And Tana's the real crook, if you know what I mean. But besides that aside, as you know, just from that, we can clearly say that, well, at least Spanton describes Tana as a criminal, as a not a good guy. And hell, bro, calls him a boob tube. I don't know what the fuck a boob tube is, but it clearly ain't something good. So yeah. So what do we... Yeah, so clearly Tenno's not a good guy. So yeah. Which is pretty interesting. It seems that we're going towards, an actual villain, like Queen, who's basically just a bad guy, but a cartoonishly evil bad guy. It seems Tenna would be, similar to King, where he's an asshole. Which honestly, I kind of hope he's an asshole as they get more into his theory. Like I said, Tenna. What do we know about Tenna? Well, like I said, it seems that Tenna's not a really good guy, and as you know, what Spampton said, which for some reason I don't really see a lot of people mention. As you know, in Snowgrave, he says, "Wow, you're really gonna ding 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 me over right at a good part? What are you, some kind of game show host?" It clearly just from that Tenna must be a game show host. And just like how we did in Snowgrave, Tenna must have screwed over Spampton because he's corrupt. As you know, some game show host Ellen DeGeneres. Hey, editing Aaron here. I'm just here to say that I completely forgot that Ellen DeGeneres is not a game show host, but instead, interview channel, whatever the fuck thingy. Yeah. Yeah, so I completely forgot that, but my point is still valid of the whole, of them, pretending to be, a good guy, a whole hey guys, it's me. I'm just a kind soul. I've done nothing wrong. I love people. Oh wait, there's allegations of me being an awful person. What? None of that's true. That's fucking false. But yeah, like I said, you get the point of of a so-called quote unquote person, well, what's it called, likable person in reality being let's just say a not so likable person, a very, well, shitty person at heart. So yeah, so that was the point I was trying to make. But also not to mention, If you guys hadn't seen it, I made a previous theory, ish, yeah, a theory called the racism theory. Go check that out. I worked very hard on it. Trust, I promise. Like I totally didn't record that intro like months ago, and then like just made and then just out of nowhere, like, oh wait, it'd be really funny if it was joke. But that aside, like, yeah, my point, whole Ellen DeGeneres thing, and also not to mention that would be a pretty good commentary on like, well, like I guess modern. Okay, okay. I'm not sure what to say about modern TV people, but general commentary on certain types of people on TV slash the internet, where they present themselves as wholesome individuals. In reality, they're not wholesome. So yeah, so like I said, that was my point, and also check out my theory, racism theory. Please give me more views. Besides that, let's get back to the video. Might seem like a good guy on the surface. In fact, if we truly believe that this thing from the not leaked but official border artwork, and by the way, there is a very small chance that this is not Tenna, and instead just some random fucking guy. But we're just gonna play safe, assume this is Tenna. I was thinking, well, he doesn't seem like a criminal. I mean, maybe a game show host, but he seems like an overall friendly looking guy. Or maybe that's what he wants you to think. That he wants to trick you and thinking, oh, I'm just some innocent little guy, I'm just, look at me. I'm just a little guy, I'm just a nice goofy goober, and I have done nothing wrong. False. That just like, a degenerate. He's actually a fucking manipulative asshole. Now, how much of an asshole? No, listen, like, we're talking about Flowey asshole. We're like, hey guy, it's me, Flowey the Flower. I am just your friendly neighborhood guy. And then as soon as he doesn't get what he wants, he's like, okay, you're a fucking idiot more. Okay, no, I'm not sure he's gonna go that, edgy evil. Maybe something similar to that. Yeah, I guess. As for me, what I want from Tenna is that I kind of wanted to be, like I said earlier, an irredeemable asshole. Because like I said, he's probably using that, that look and persona as, to trick the audience and, the, citizens of whatever fucking TV line, the dark world. The dark world think that, he's a good guy. Because I bet you, as soon as the camera's on, he just plays that facade, just a nice, friendly, goofy little guy. But as soon as those cameras are off, his true colors show. I'm thinking, well, what true colors? What would he do? What is he part of? Well, for one thing, we do know that Tenna, at least we're assuming that Tenna is part of what is called the Cascade Crew. Probably thinking, what is the Cascade Crew? Well, as we know, as we've seen from the trailer and the SmackDown sweepstake, a bunch of shadow men, and they seem to look like mobsters, classic mobsters. And clearly the shadow men don't really want to be mobsters, at least at least rather be actual musicians and not hurting people and shit. But after all, you have to report to their master, their leader, their mob leader, Tenna. Yes, I'm going with that. My theory is that Tenna is a mobster and he's the one in charge of the Cascade Crew. Not to mention, not only is he in charge, he kind of has to be, because as you know, a TV cannot run or form any picture without an antenna. So clearly, Tenna is the top of the top, and he is a corrupt mobster who, on the surface, seems like a chill guy, when in reality, he is a corrupted, evil, well, I'm assuming, evil bitch. It gets described me, and honestly, I would really love to be an asshole, and well, for him to be an asshole, and and not to mention that it would be pretty interesting if Woody theory is actually correct and stuff, where Mike or whoever the secret boss is, had a show, but Tenna was like, whoa, this show was not pulling the numbers as it should be. Get out of here, bitch. Yeah, that's clearly a sign of his, true Tenna on the surface, him like a good guy, but as soon as, your show doesn't pull the ratings as it used to be, your ass is getting kicked out and abandoned and forgotten. Now, publicly, why did I bring up Woody Theory besides that? Well, have you guys seen the Black Friday Toy Story thing? The original pitch for Toy Story, where Woody was an unlikable douchebag. Now, I'm not saying that's Mike, I'm saying that's what I want Tenna to be. A fucking unlikable fucking douchebag that just treats everybody like shit. Not to mention, that's one thing I would really like to see is any speech pattern where like he actually swears. No, obviously no, he won't actually say the word fuck shit, but I mean, well, what happens in television? They often bleep the swears, so I can see like a time or a scene where as soon as the cameras are off and as soon as he's battling you or talking to you, he's like, "You don't you know what you've done? I am the leader. I am the one in charge of the dark one, and nothing you can do will stop me." Yeah, that seems pretty good. Not to mention, I bet his true form, or at least his final form, similar to Queen, is that purple television. Sorry, I had to make a cut right there. Well, first of all, this thing isn't scripted, so like, I had some issues with some lines and stuff, but don't worry, it's all fine. It's all good. It's all kosher. Like I was saying, that could possibly be either his true or final form where you fight against him, similar to Photoshop Flowey. And now, listen, I don't think that 3D render of Tenna is just there for promotional image video. I think that's an actual in-game cutscene that will play when we fight against Tenna, or at least, his second form, against Tenna, where, similar to Photoshop Flowey, he takes on a completely different art style, and instead of Photoshop Flowey being, well, not pixelated, it's gonna be full-on 3D and full-on attacks, with some interesting, probably some bullshit attacks. But yeah, that could be fascinating. I would really like that of Tenna, to show Tenna's true colors as a corrupt TV show host who is a mobster and is, forcefully taking over the TV world and, tricking everybody, thinking, hey guys, just watch my show. Listen guys, we need to keep those ratings up. After all, everything is kosher. Not Jewish, by the way. Everything is fine. Everything is wonderful. Everything is fantastic. And hey, if you enjoy my shows, maybe one day you'll be a big shot one day. But I hope you don't, you filthy bitch. I don't know, something like that. Honestly, I could see Spamton using us as like, whoa, you guys seems pretty cool and pretty popular. Let's use you, exploit you. I don't give a fuck if you don't want to do it anymore. If you don't want to do these shows, you do whatever I want, because I'm the one in charge. Without me, there is no Dark World, there is no TV, there is no whatever the fuck the TV world is called. Yeah, I can clearly see Tenna being the type of person. And not to mention, Tenna might be want to be just like King, a character that is irredeemable, that in the end, we have to do something either to make him fall asleep or just completely break him in a pacifist way, very pacifist way of just making him stop and defeating him. or we could redeem him, or maybe I don't know, maybe we'll make him remember the good old days of being a TV guy, just actually making good shows or something. That could be a possibility. That could be a possibility. But yeah, but in summary, I think Tenna puts on a facade of being a good guy, but in reality, he's a corrupt asshole that if anybody gets in his way, he will send his shadow man to, take care of the dirty work. And in fact, I don't think. Actually, no. Is Tenna really powerful? Probably not in his base form, but it doesn't really matter. Because, he has his goons, his shadow men on his side. So, like, they're probably the ones taking care of everything. While Tenna's just there sitting and watching everything. The man on TV watching everything, watching everybody love him and praise him. Or at least what he wants, to be exact. But yeah, I guess that's my theory. Not really theory. It's more of a what I want from Tenna. I kind of want Tenna just to be an irredeemable asshole. Who in the end, just like all TVs, they eventually break and some might say catch on fire.